We are very happy to have with us today Mr. Oliver Campbell, which is the owner of TAB Iberia. Welcome in our live stream, Oliver.
Thank you for having me.
Oliver, what exactly are you doing? What is TAB? Can you give us a little bit more information?
Sure. So TAB is a global peer-to-peer advisory business. We currently operate in 25 countries. And we're currently helping thousands of business owners transform their businesses in ways that change their lives. So ultimately, we enable business owners and CEOs to lead better, to live better, and achieve more. That's our goal.
Okay. And how exactly what exactly it does TAB? What is can you give us an example so to understand it a little bit
Sure.
better what it does?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, the fact is, as a business leader, if you want to achieve more, then our philosophy is that it's better not to go it alone. Okay, and whether you want to grow your business,
Okay.
whether you want to fine tune your leadership skills, whether you want to prepare for a major transition in your business, might be exiting, might be expansion internationally. TAB, what we can do through a variety of services is help you get there. So, I mean, one example is, you know how large companies, they have typically sort of non-executive boards made up of experienced business leaders to offer advice and guidance to the company directors.
Mhm.
Well, normally in small and medium enterprises, they can't afford that luxury. It just
Okay.
doesn't exist. So what we do with TAB is we actually make that happen. We run monthly half-day board meetings with a group of sort of close-knit, trusted business owners and CEOs who all face in the day-to-day, similar challenges, opportunities, situations in their professional lives. And within this group, for example, they speak that it's non-competing businesses, so they can speak honestly. They ask each other tough questions. Um, they offer a diverse perspective, share experiences, and all that. What it eventually does is they can learn from each other. They form part of a team, so they're no longer alone, as a typical business owner might feel very alone. And ultimately, they take better decisions. They take better decisions that have a positive result in their business, which then goes on to have a positive result on their life.
So you bring basically like a big entrepreneur mindset and a big entrepreneur way of operating to small businesses. That is uh, the
Sure.
main
So
benefit, let's say.
yeah, I mean that's one of the focuses that we have, is the board level. I mean, when we speak to a lot of our members, because we're a membership organization,
Yes.
one of the main, and it's a classic challenge of the small and medium-sized business owner is sort of being a solitary leader. Who do you ask when you've got a challenge? Who do you turn to when you're not quite sure, which is the right direction to take? And it might be a pretty simple um, concept, like I've got some challenges with my employees at the moment, um, but that's something that can eat away at you, and you just put it off, and you put it off, and you put it off until it's too late. Or it might be something much more strategic. Which direction am I going to take the company? Do I need to look for a business partner? Do I need to try and get a new product line? Um, you know, do we have to try and reduce costs? Um, it's the what can we do about that? All of these things are challenges within themselves. But if you sit down and you ask another 6 or 7 peers, people who run different businesses to you, but they have employees, they have cash flow, they have sales, they have operational challenges, perhaps, and many of them are common at the moment, with inflation and things, then why not just ask for their opinion? See what they've done in the past. They might have been through a recession. They might have made mistakes that you want to avoid. And so, for a relatively small and medium-sized enterprise, you can actually get a huge amount of value, but not much cost, and by just speaking to other colleagues.
TAB is an international organization. I know that there is TAB in Ireland. You are the owner of TAB Iberia, so you are the owner of TAB in the Iberian Peninsula.
Correct.
And it's also established in many more countries. So can you say that the international networking is also a factor that it's very competitive for somebody to see it as a reason to join your organization?
Yeah, it's definitely a factor, Alex. So, I mean, TAB originally started just over 30 years ago in Colorado in the United States.
Yes.
It was founded by a gentleman called Alan Fishman, and he started, or he actually built several businesses, but one of his businesses he built was a small business that grew up and eventually ended up on one of the stock exchanges in the United States. And by the time he sold his business and he had a huge support team there, as large corporations do, he realized that he really would have benefited having that support team when he was starting his business. And throughout, the growth period when it's, you're running around, you've got 1,000 things on your plate, and you haven't quite got the ability to sit back and take a strategic look at the business. And a lot of businesses fail at that stage. So he realized that actually this was something that a lot of businesses need. So he put it into practice. It's now in 25 countries. And one of the benefits of being a member of TAB, so if you are a business owner or a CEO running a business and you become a member of TAB, you get instant access to our global network of business owners. And so, you can get diverse perspectives from a wide, virtually all industry sectors, because there are thousands of business owners that are members of TAB. So, if you want to grow your business quickly, it's a great place to start. It's a great place to ask, other people, maybe even in your sector, but they're not a competitor because they're in a different country. What are you doing? What tools are you using? And what do you think about this? And it's a great opportunity for business owners to grow their businesses faster by asking advice from other people.
Exactly. So that is what, for me, it was the most interesting aspect of your organization, was that it brought me in contact with people that were operating in different countries, different markets, different territories, and I could get valuable information on how I could establish my business in different territories. And I find that on my business as a sales outsourcing company, we see there is a big space there that it's a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding of how a different market operates. And the more the world comes together and the more technology advances in our after COVID era, so more and more companies are facing this challenge on how to connect in a new market, and that is not a geographical issue. It's a cultural issue. It's understanding certain things. And okay, big corporations, of course, they operate internationally, but smaller ones, they don't have what I see as the biggest obstacle. They don't have the understanding on how they could operate, or what challenges they're going to have, or what opportunities they are going to have in a new market that they don't even think about them yet.
For sure. It's definitely a barrier for many business owners. Thinking about asking or how to get into another country, how to expand internationally, for example. Where do you begin? You can maybe get some help from government organizations, and you could ask a consultant, perhaps, that's got experience in that, but it's all costs a lot of money and a lot of effort. And with TAB, they have an opportunity to literally send a message to another TAB member in another country, and because we're all part of the same community, you get a response very, very quickly, and you can have a very open dialogue. And they're doing the same things as in TAB in India as we're doing here in Spain. They're on boards. so they understand what we're doing. I mean, I have a really good example of that. A member of TAB here in North Spain wanted to expand into India. It's an engineering business, wants to get into India, and not an easy thing to do. And so literally we just put him in contact with a TAB member in India who is a lawyer running their own business there. Very, very fluid, few conversations, very simple, put them in touch with the right people, no cost, and not a great effort at all. So it makes doing business easier.
I have to say, I love the concept, Oliver, because as you said at the beginning, it's the number one thing that comes up when I speak to senior leaders or founders in particular. They don't know what they don't know, because many of them don't even have the business acumen to grow their business beyond 10, 20 people. And offering them that sort of board of directors of people that are, going to give them all the tools and resources. And I think the community behind that's I'm sure an amazing value, and probably what they value the most, I would imagine, when they come to you.
Yeah. So, some of them, there's a variety of different things that the founders of business are looking for. Sometimes it's whether it's, they need help with strategic planning and accountability on that. But what eventually gets them sucked in and stay with TAB is exactly the community, just as you say. To be surrounded by like-minded business owners who have, they've all got anecdotes to tell each other, but it's not just about receiving advice, but it's also giving. So, these are people that have run businesses, are running businesses, made mistakes, but have had a lot of success, a lot of them. And sometimes no one ever asked them anything.
Yeah.
And for them to actually be able to, offer advice, they sort of get involved in their colleagues' businesses, and it's very satisfying for them, obviously, to watch how other colleagues grow and their businesses change, and in that respect, it's also very rewarding for them.
Yeah, and you learn a lot when you're teaching other people, right? You learn about yourself, you learn a new skill. So I think that's probably adds to the appeal. So who helps you, Oliver? You're a leader of a huge organization. Who's helping you?
No, so we have offices in Spain, actually in Barcelona, where you are. So we have offices in Barcelona, in the city, also in the areas just outside it, the more industrial areas, in Valles Occidental, Valles Oriental. Basically, our businesses are local. So what we don't want to have to do is for when we have physical meetings, let's just say, so not online meetings, physical meetings, we don't want people to have to travel the length of Spain for these meetings. So they're relatively local, which is why we have boards set up in local areas. So I have colleagues working in Barcelona in different areas there, also here in the north of Spain, in Bilbao, others in San Sebastian. So, we're a group of I would say, experienced professionals with very different backgrounds. Some have been running their own businesses. Others have come from multinational environments, which would be my case in the past. But basically, the one thing we all have in common is we want to use what we've learned in a variety of backgrounds to help the local business community grow and develop in ways that eventually are going to, change the entrepreneur's life. And it's very, very satisfying when we can do that. It's challenging, but it's rewarding at the same time. Yeah. And also, actually, I must say, as well as our members that enjoy the international community, we also do. So it's good fun for us as well to have peers that are doing similar things as we are in other countries, and we also share our experiences, which enable us to help the business owners in the end. Yeah.
You must see some pretty incredible stories happening, unfolding thanks to your support. Do you have one in particular that comes to mind?
I mean, not personally for me, the story I wouldn't say, but a colleague of mine here in the north of Spain, I was talking to him last week, and he mentioned that just it was a good story because he put together a board here in the north of Spain, and there's 8 business owners on the board, and they were quite diverse group. Let's just say, so not just the businesses, but the actual people within it. And you know, one of the guys said to my colleague, he said, "You know what? The best thing about all of this is having watched another colleague of his grow." He says that for me, you know, I wouldn't have asked this person for any advice a year ago. Wouldn't have gone anywhere near him. And now he says he's the first person I listen to, first person I get advice from. And you know that, so it's not just a professional change, that's also a personal change. And that was, I think that's sort of sums up what we do. Yeah.
And what do you regard as the biggest challenge, Oliver? Because is it the message that you pass, is it easily accepted when you meet new people? How do they perceive that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Alex. I mean, it's a challenge for us, I guess, with any business, trying to find new business. You know, that's, you know, everyone faces that challenge, any business owner, and,
Yes.
and so, and I think probably, you know, as in, you know, this is a culture here in Spain, which is different, I suppose, to the Anglo-Saxon culture where TAB originated in America all those years ago. TAB is also, it's got a very large business in Germany and the Germanic side of it. But the Latin business, Latin culture, a little bit different. Asking for help, let's just say, is something that's not so readily accepted within the business owner's mindset here. So, you know, we don't need them to ask us for help, because that's not what they're for necessarily. But to recognize that allowing an outside influence into your business is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, completely opposite. It's something that, you know, can be a challenge. So we generally find that forward-thinking business owners, forward-thinking people that are, you know, want to take their business to the next step, recognize that their own limitations, perhaps, and recognize that the best businesses and the most successful business owners are ones that have looked outside their businesses. And people that recognize that, you know, they're the ones that join TAB. People that want to be closed and not look about them, then, you know, they're not our business.
So, but there comes one thing in my mind, okay, and I want to ask you that. So, if somebody joins TAB, or isn't he afraid that his ideas or his openness is going to be somehow stolen from a competitor, or he is afraid to say exactly what he wants to do with a person that exactly, isn't that? Yeah.
I mean, we do. We you know, we're asked that question. It's a very valid question. But I mean, everybody in TAB signs a confidentiality agreement when they join. The board is a group of trusted advisors, and they know each other. They get to know each other very well, and it really isn't a challenge for us or any of our members, actually. You know, and we dig deep into, people talk about their finances, their margins, as time goes on and the board becomes more close knit, and once the trust is built up, and nothing goes outside it. You know, we're not talking about, in our board meetings, for example, we're not talking about specific design of a microchip. You know, that's because that's very specific to a business. But we might be talking about that business owner's vision for the future, you know, vision for exiting a business, vision on developing streamlined sales process, and that they're things that are common within a business, for example, that's trying to grow. So they're not necessarily intellectual property, for example, that could escape. And some business owners, yeah, they don't like to talk about that their business might be losing money, for example. That's something that, you know, most people are pretty proud and try and put on a good show, and that, but eventually they realize that actually they can't get any good advice until their colleagues actually really know what the real situation is. So it's a question of just breaking down those barriers.
if somebody wants to get in contact with you, Oliver, how he can get in contact with you?
Well, so I'm on LinkedIn, and my details are on LinkedIn, and whether it's email or telephone number, via the website tabiberia.es, also the contact form, or also my other colleagues in around Spain, they're also on LinkedIn, and can be contacted very easily through there as well.
That's very interesting. Maria, do you have any other questions for Oliver?
No, I was interested in knowing, Oliver, what do you, you're leading a big group, right? How many people are under you?
Oh, here in Spain?
Yeah.
So I got six people.
Oh, wow. But then you have all these consultants or the people working for you, or how does it?
Yeah, well, so they're not. So the biggest base we've got is membership. Okay, yeah. So each person, let's just say, so each person can run 2, 3, 4 boards. So my colleagues can run those, and they're the actual members within us. And then, so for example, I have a colleague who will then have in Barcelona, actually, precisely, who will then have 2 people working for them, and then they're running the boards in that situation. So in actual fact, really, so I manage the team that just directly deals with the boards, and it's the membership organization that really is where the numbers are. And I think the most recent number I got from TAB globally is over 6,000 members now. I wish I knew the number of boards we were running in any one time, but there's hundreds a week going on. But it's frankly, they sort of manage themselves. Once you've got a good board running, it's their board.
Do you have your own board for TAB for your business?
I do, yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love running the boards. Every board meeting is different, and there's different challenges. There's different opportunities that we address. I learn something every day. In that respect, yeah, absolutely.
So you recommend it to any business owner? Is there a minimum size business that you take on?
No, not really. We have a sort of typical look at a business. We'll be looking at businesses from around about €1 million in turnover upwards. But that would be discounting some forward-thinking business owners with smaller businesses who totally recognize the value of TAB, and we have a lot of those businesses. So it's unfair to put a limit. I guess what we really look for is what I mentioned earlier. It's the business owner that wants to take the business to the next level, and that could be from 20 million to 50 million, or it could be from 300,000 to 1 million. It just depends on their attitude. Really.
Okay, thank you.
I find it so interesting, your organization. So thank you very much, Oliver, for being with us here today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Maria, for joining this conversation. And yes, we wish you good luck and all success in TAB Iberia.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Oliver.